I am telling this the way I remember it, not because I understand what happened, but because I do not. This account is shared publicly by someone who believed they were taking a familiar shortcut. Nothing about that decision felt dangerous at the time. It was late, but not unusually late, just past 9. The kind of hour where the day still feels close enough that you do not think twice about small choices. I had taken this route before, many times, actually. During the day was a simple trail that cut through a section of forest between 2 roads. If you stayed on it, it saved almost 20 minutes. It was not remote wilderness. There were houses a few miles off, a highway on one side, a small town on the other. The trail existed because people used it. That night, I did not hesitate. The entrance to the path looked exactly the same as always. Packed dirt, a narrow opening between trees, no warning signs, no gates. I remember checking my phone. Battery was low but not critical. I did not think I would need it. The air felt cooler once I stepped in. That was not strange either. Trees always change the temperature. What I noticed first was not fear. It was how quiet everything became. No insects, no distant traffic, not even wind in the leaves. It felt like the sound had been turned down, but not off, like something was absorbing it. I kept walking. The trail was easy to follow at first. Flat, clear, familiar. I remember thinking how much darker it was than I expected. The canopy overhead blocked almost all moonlight. My eyes adjusted, but only enough to make out shapes, not detail. After a few minutes, I realized I had not heard my own footsteps in a while. I could see them, feel them, but the sound was muffled. Not gone, just wrong. I stopped. When I did, the silence became complete. No echo, no settling sounds, nothing reacting to my movement. I stood there longer than I should have, waiting for something normal to happen. A bird, a gust of wind, anything. Nothing did. I told myself I was overthinking it. People do that in the dark. You imagine patterns. You fill in gaps. So I kept going. The trail should have curved left after about 10 minutes. Instead, it kept going straight. At first, I assumed I would misjudge the distance, but then I checked my watch. I had been walking longer than expected. I pulled out my phone. No signal. That was not unusual here, but the GPS would not load either. The map kept spinning, like it could not decide where I was. I turned around. The path behind me did not look the way it should have. It was not blocked. It was not gone. It just did not look familiar. The trees felt closer together. The ground looked less worn, like I was seeing a version of the trail that had not been used. I remember thinking, this does not make sense, not in a dramatic way, just as a fact. I stood there, phone in my hand, trying to match what I was seeing with what I remembered. They did not line up. That is when I heard something behind me. It was not loud. It was not sudden. It sounded like a single step. One. I turned immediately. There was nothing there. No movement. No sound afterward. I waited, listening for a follow-up, for anything that would confirm I would actually heard something. Nothing came. At that point, I felt the first real fear, not panic, but awareness. The kind where you realize you are paying attention to details you should not need to. I decided to leave the trail, not run, just change direction. I stepped off to the right, planning to walk until I hit the road that should have been parallel to the path. The ground dipped slightly. The trees grew thicker. After a minute or two, I stopped again. The forest looked the same in every direction. No landmarks, no variation, just layers of dark shapes repeating into each other. I checked my phone again. The battery had dropped faster than it should have. I noticed because I remember thinking I had not used it much at all. I turned the screen off to save power. That is when I noticed something ahead of me. A light, faint, stationary, too low to be the moon, too steady to be a reflection. It did not move. It did not flicker. It just existed. I did not walk toward it right away. I tried to reason it out. A house, a utility light, someone else on the trail, but none of those made sense where I was supposed to be. After standing there longer than I would like to admit, I took a few steps forward. The light did not get closer. It did not move farther away either. It stayed exactly where it was. That is when I felt like I was being watched, not because I saw anything, but because the forest felt aware of me. I know how that sounds, but it was not a thought. It was a physical sensation. Like standing in a room where someone is behind you, even if you have not turned around yet. I stopped walking. The light disappeared, not faded, not dimmed, gone. I did not wait. I turned and walked fast, still not running, but packed the way I thought I would come. The ground felt uneven now. The slope changed. Nothing matched my memory anymore. I told myself to stay calm. People get lost because they panic. I kept walking. Eventually, I heard something I recognized. A distant hum. Traffic. It was faint, but it was real. I followed it. The trees began to thin, slowly, unevenly. The ground leveled out. And then, without any transition at all, I stepped onto asphalt. A road. Not the one I expected. I checked the street sign. It was not even close. I was miles off course. I stood there for a long time, just breathing. Cars passed occasionally. None of the drivers slowed down. I must have looked normal enough. I walked until I found a place with lights. Someone let me charge my phone. The map loaded instantly. The road I thought I would take did not line up with where I came out. There was no straight path. No shortcut that matched my experience. Weeks later, I went back during the day. I wanted to understand. The entrance to the trail was there. The path existed, but it ended sooner than I remembered. No deep stretch, no long straight section, and definitely no place where a light could have appeared. I asked around. People shrugged it off. You probably just got turned around. Easy to do in there, maybe that is all it was, but there is one thing I have not been able to explain. From the moment I stepped into the forest, nothing behaved the way it should have. Not the sound, not the distance, not the time, and I still do not know where I actually was that night. I only know this. I did not take a shortcut. I walked into something I did not understand. And whatever it was, it did not feel accidental.